low he is in the car. You can see that there. He's really tucked in as he passes Gugelman again. That's Prost. That was previously Senna passing Gugelman, as Alain Prost now comes up to try and get past Gugelman. Prost is still 3.3 seconds behind. 2.9 seconds now on the last lap, incidentally. As I said, it's sort of Corsontina's back and forward with the slower cars.
All right, less than 20 laps to go, Jackie Stewart. A lot of people thought this might be the track that is able to stop the McLaren domination of Formula One racing in 1988. But boy, the way it's going here today, Senna Prost running 1-2, you have to wonder, is it possible for McLaren to win everything this season?
I think it is possible. It's unlikely to happen just with statistics being what they are. One first lap accident could take both of those cars out, and that could easily occur. I didn't think there was a problem for the Honda engines to go the distance here. They've got such enormous technical resource and knowledge behind them in their engine program that I'm sure they've rerun this race on their computers, and I think they know what their fuel consumption was going to be. So I didn't think that the Honda engines were going to lose this race because of fuel consumption, particularly the McLaren. But I did think that we would see, as I said earlier, I think, that we would see one of the normally aspirating Benettons, and I thought it would be Nannini that was going to finish in the first three. And I think if all goes well, I think Boutsen will be able to hold that position comfortably. There's no one threatening him, and it's Terry Boutsen that we're looking at right now. Peter Collins, the Australian manager of the Benetton racing team, a very clever man. Rory Byrne, the designer of this car. I've driven the Grand Prix Benetton. Very well suspended car, probably the best car over bumps that I've ever driven. It's wonderful on rebound. You know, when a racing car goes over bumps, it's not just the way it goes down on the bump, it's the way that it comes off the bump, that it rebounds off the bump. And that car controls the ride very, very well. And it's clearly obvious. The cars are just being driven very easily by the drivers, and clearly very, very competitively.
Thierry Boutsen, who is running third, but now more than 30 seconds behind the leaders, Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost.
He's not going to challenge them, and I think the intelligent thing for him to do is to finish in the top three. That is a very respectable result for them. There's a considerable difference in power. He's giving away about 70 horsepower at least to the Honda turbocharged engines or the Ferraris. How can you make up 70 horsepower? There's no point in fighting that if, while fighting it, you're putting extra strain and stress on the rest of your component parts of your car, or driver error being influenced by stress and strain and tiredness and fatigue. So it's much better for him to consolidate his third position right now and get that, because believe me, the Detroit Grand Prix next weekend is important for this Benetton team. It is the world headquarters of Ford Motor Company. They're going there. They're looking for more money, more engine help for next year. And if they do well this race, that may just help a little bit in their quest for the future.
Car number one, defending world champion Nelson Piquet, and right behind him comes our race leader, Ayrton Senna. Now Piquet is running fourth, in danger of being lapped by the race leader.
Well, he is going to be lapped, and this is the tragedy of the whole business right now, the fact that the McLarens are as totally dominant as they are. To be able to lap Nelson Piquet, the reigning world champion, with a similar engine car, because believe me, there will be no difference between the power output of the Honda engine in the Lotus than there will be out of the McLaren chassis. It's just a question that the chassis works that much better, and of course the drivers have been doing a lot of testing. The resources are there to do that. The Ron Dennis team of engineers, designers, as well as mechanics, have just done the best job.
Well, as one fan said earlier this week, as we look at car 33, that is Stefano Modena.
And that's the battle for 7th place between Modena and Alio, Philip Alio, who had a tremendous accident in the last Grand Prix, the Mexican Grand Prix. His crash helmet that he's wearing today is the same helmet that he was wearing in Mexico. And if we look closely at it in one of our terrific shots that CBC are giving us here, we're having wonderful camera work here. the scratches and the marks are still on the helmet. I said to him, why on earth are you wearing the same helmet? I mean, if I dropped my crash helmet, I would replace it because it may have caused a hairline crack. He's wearing it because he has to have a two-way radio in it, and they can't get his new helmet fitted up with his radio in time for this race. But I personally wouldn't drive with a helmet that took the impact that his did down in Mexico 2 weeks ago.
Ayrton Senna in the Honda-powered McLaren. I know Ralph Lucio and the Honda people are here in force from Toronto. It's been a sensational season for the Honda Motor Company. Their turbo engines totally dominating Formula One racing. Jackie Stewart, when the turbo disappears in 1989, Honda will be back in force with the non-turbo engine. And as I was saying earlier, one of the fans from overseas said here this week, they've got to make it more competitive or they're going to kill the sport. There are only two cars that really can compete with each other. Here's one of them, Alain Prost, and the other, of course, being the race leader, his teammate, Ayrton Senna. You see, Prost has now gone ahead of Nelson Piquet, so Prost, who's running second, has lapped Piquet in car one, the Honda-powered Lotus, the defending world champion, and Piquet is running fourth. So it's really a two-car race here in Montreal. Senna and Prost with the non-turbo Benetton of Thierry Boutsen running third, but now nearly 31 seconds behind. Piquet is a minute behind the leaders. Here comes Alain Prost down through the start-finish area, pursued by Nelson Piquet, who is again one lap behind.
I don't think it's going to be quite as easy for McLaren to win next year with all normally aspirated engines, but I think the Honda engine, the amount of money that Honda are committing to the Grand Prix engine program, frankly, is such that I think they'll be extraordinarily competitive next year also. Renault, of course, are coming in with a brand new V10 cylinder engine, a 10-cylinder engine, V configuration, 5 on each side, which nobody has seen much of before, and there's some speculation as to whether Honda are making a V10 as well. So I think there's a lot of new technology. The cost of motor racing is still going to be very high, but hopefully it'll just be a little more even in the distribution of power.
You mentioned Renault coming in, Jackie. Renault will be coming in with that 10-cylinder engine for Frank Williams. That's for Mansell and Patrese if they stay with the team. And, of course, Williams was the one that brought in the Honda Turbo.
And there's much speculation, incidentally, that Nigel Mansell is trying to get into the Ferrari team for next year. The rumor is that Michele Alboreto will be leaving Ferrari, and that Nigel Mansell, who went down there and apparently, it is rumored, committed 2 years ago to drive for Mr. Ferrari and then went back on it, is having trouble getting a commitment out of Ferrari because of that past experience, but he wants to go there. So I think the Renault engine will come in its first year, perhaps not quite as competitively as perhaps some people would like it to be. It just doesn't happen overnight. We've only got 15 laps to go in this Grand Prix of Canada as Derek Warwick moves over and lets Ayrton Senna through, using the dirt to do so.
That means Warwick, who is running 10th in the USF&G Aeros, has now been lapped twice by the leader, car number 12, Brazilian Ayrton Senna, well on his way to winning his second Formula One race of this McLaren-dominated 1988 season.
But with the World Championship standing as it is, of course, the Alain Prost getting 6 points for the second place in this championship still holds a healthy lead. Even though Senna gets 9 points for winning, Alain Prost still stays a long way ahead because, of course, Ayrton Senna is only at the present time standing at 15 points in the championship against the 33 of Prost.
The driver standings, Prost is first with 33, Berger has 18, Senna 15, Alboreto 9, Piquet and Warwick have 8 each.
And out of the 26